Welcome to Hannah's Heart.
So Hannah, she's just one of the women who did struggle with infertility in the Bible.
No matter who we are, we can be inspired by the fact that Hannah took her pain to God, and God heard her and was with her.
So when she was praying at the temple, she had been weeping and not eating, and her lips were moving, but her eyes were closed, and the priest was like, "Hey, why are you drunk at the temple?"
It can become an obsession when you want
wanting
a child so deeply.
and desiring that baby and to be a mama. Every holiday, every Mother's Day.
This is not a show that's going to promise you a certain outcome, but this is a show that says, however God answers your cry, we know that He's enough.
Hey, I'm Ann, and normally here I'm Kendra, but she is out today working on some other stuff for AFA. So we miss her today, but she is working super hard on another fun project. I just want to remind you that you're listening to Hannah's Heart. We are a show that just started talking about families that struggled with fertility and miscarriage, but we've kind of grown into just however God leads you to build your families, if that's through foster care and taking care of all different kinds of kiddos, or if it's through adoption, and or just being a mama and daddy to nieces and nephews, whatever your family looks like, just being willing to live with open arms and open hearts to whatever God has in store for you. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and really any podcast platform by searching Hannah's Heart. And as always, we encourage you to email us at hannahsheart@afa.net to send us prayer requests, show suggestions. We've even had guests talk about being on the show by sharing their testimonies through that email platform. So we look forward to hearing from you. So today, just because Kendra's not here, that doesn't mean I'm alone in the room. We have our super cool producer and a super cool producer doing video, Mr. Marty, and then we have Mark doing audio, and then we have a super special guest to me. Everybody's super today. But Brandance Smith is with us today, and I think we have a neat relationship, a little friendship that started. You would always tell me as you were our resource worker, they're like, we're not friends, we got to, just always be business.
Like family. But, we always knew how to separate it.
That's right. But I've shared little pieces here and there of our foster care journey, and I think it was 2018, I guess, that we met when you came. I know you. I don't expect you to remember. I think it's been that long.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy, yes.
Because you would have come to do our home study, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It had to. Yes, that was. You're right.
Isn't that nuts? It went by really fast.
It did.
Because when I think that we've been doing foster care that long, that seems like a very long time.
Yes.
Anything pre-COVID, I'm like, a long time ago.
Yes. Seems like it's just all running in together.
It does. But okay, so Brandance Smith, we were talking about you being a resource worker, but your position has changed since then. Do you mind giving us an update on what your job looks like right now?
Okay. Well, my name is Brandance Smith. I work with Mississippi Department of Child Protection Services. I am currently a recruitment specialist for the agency, and what that consists of is I go out and I spread the word for the need for foster parents in our community.
Yeah. Big job.
It is a big job. It's a lot of community outreach, dealing with the community. It's enjoyable. You get to meet a lot of different people.
Yeah.
Get a different feel of the social work field within the agency.
Okay. So are you still considered a social worker?
Yes. So we're all still considered as social workers there.
Okay.
We just have different roles and responsibilities, but the same mission.
Okay.
So, of course, our mission is, of course, to keep children safe from abuse, neglect, and exploitation.
Okay. That's right. So do you go, where when you're doing this recruiting, where do you go?
So I do different things. I go out to community festivals. We do churches. I go speak at different churches. Sometimes we host our own events. We plan our own things within the community. We have partnerships with some of the churches that host some things for us. Mostly it consisted of me going out, showing the community my face and
Yeah.
what I do, and educating them on foster care, what that is, and the need for foster parents in the
Wow.
community.
Yeah, because there's a very big need.
Yes,
Yeah.
we have a huge need. Right now we have about 4,000 kids in custody.
Mm.
And I forgot to mention that I'm housed in Lee County. I cover 8 counties, but I'm housed in Lee County. Lee County is one of my counties, but I have 8 other counties, and of my 8 counties, Lee has the most children in custody.
Wow.
So Lee County currently has 191 children in custody.
Mm.
That in total, with our closest neighborhood, I calculated that in with Itawamba County, we have about 300 kids
Wow.
together. And so just in our area alone,
Mm.
there's a big need for it.
Yeah. I feel like it's possibly easy for us as Christians, in the Bible Belt, to not think that foster care would be such a big need here. Um, but it's literally, as children are right around our corners,
Yes.
no matter what kind of neighborhood you live in.
Yes.
There's unfortunately, awful things that happen in the worst part of the neighborhoods and in the best neighborhoods.
Yes.
That was one thing I feel like I learned a lot because as a foster parent, you can get a call whenever. And we got a call one time, and it was about a house not far from our house with kids going into custody. And whenever the person that called realized that, they ended up suggesting they continue to call since we were in such close quarters with the family.
Yes.
But it just amazed me that, like, the story that I just heard happened down the street from me.
So that is some of the training that we do receive, as social workers. We get that training, and they basically train us that no matter where you live or who you are, even us as social workers, we're one step away from being that other person that's on the side of that desk, And so a life lesson that I have learned, is to never compare, never judge, because you never know, what kind of situation you could end up in.
Right. I feel like you always did a good job talking to me about that.
Yes.
Because you have to have tough conversations. I remember when you were doing our interview, when you were our resource worker, so before you had this position, and you were doing our, what do you call it, like an intake?
So we call it a home study.
A home study,
yes.
Okay. I was like, you literally are knowing more about me right now than my parents do. So,
yes. Hey, I tell everybody when I'm out doing my recruitment, we get all in your business.
You get,
yes.
You do. Yeah, and
we're all
some.
in the business. So hey, it's a lot, but it's all information we need to know, and that information is just not us being nosy.
Right.
We take that information and we use that and to determine how to place our children.
Yeah.
And so if you tell me certain things happen, then we know that could possibly be a trigger for you. Then we're not going to put that child, in your home. So we utilize that information, as we always say during orientation. We don't go out and find children for our families. We match our children, with the that come into custody. We match them with families that we already have based on the information that we gather during those home studies. Yeah. So the information is very important to us to use,
Of course, because, this is a big job as a foster family. You're getting children that have come out of potentially awful situations. Yes. And so you're filling in a big role. Also, you're dealing with children that don't know you. Can you imagine me as a mom for my adopted little boy now and my biological little girl? I'm not going to send her to someone's house I don't know.
Right.
And, and that's what these parents are having to do. They definitely, I know each situation is so different, but to be able to put yourself in that role where this worker that you don't know just came to your house, got these children out of your house, and then took them to a family that you don't know. So that's the reason why that information that y'all get is so important.
It's important.
And then, at the time when you were asking me all the questions, I was like, are you serious? Like,
yes, it makes you feel a little vulnerable at first, huh? But yes, we all of that is confidential, so we don't disclose that to anyone. It is typed in the home study, of course. Yeah. But we don't share our home studies outside of our agency, and so we need that information to match our children with families, you know.
Right, right. Okay, so tell me about the new MDCPS. So that's
Mississippi Department of Child Protection
Okay.
Services.
Foster Parent Recruitment and Support Unit. What is that?
Okay, so the agency saw that we needed, some footwork on the ground, and so they created the unit that I'm in. That is the Recruitment and Support Unit,
Okay.
and it is 3 supervisors and it's 7 of us across the state, and so we all cover large
So
areas.
that's what you were talking about earlier
Yes.
with all the counties.
So we cover large areas, and we go out and educate, and we do our best to recruit. Right now, of course, as I previously stated, we have 4,000 children in custody. Right now, we have 2,000 foster homes,
Wow.
approximately that.
In the state of Mississippi, 2,000
the
foster
state,
homes.
In the States.
Wow.
And so last year we did pretty good about getting more people to become foster parents. And so part of it is also retention, is to retain some of those foster parents after adoption or reunification has occurred. So we try to keep them going.
Oh, I know.
Keep them on board,
I know.
We're just waiting for you.
I know.
Yes.
When I told you about adoption, you're like, you're still going to foster? And I was like, I don't know, Brandon. I haven't gotten there yet.
Yes. Look, we try to keep it, because you guys have had that experience. You can help us support our newcomers, and that's what we want to see, that community effort within the foster parent community is to keep it going, so we'll have some revolving foster parents as well as gain some new ones.
Right, for sure. So what are the requirements to be a foster family in Mississippi? What does that look like?
Okay, so we have several requirements. One of them is you must be a legal resident of the state. You have to be at least 21 years or older. Legally married or legally separated. In instances that you are a relative that wants to get licensed for a relative that we have in custody, we do have exceptions that we do for relatives if you're cohabitating or living together and not married. And so, yes, so if you were planning on being a regular non-relative, let me say that, you have to be either legally married or legally single.
Okay.
Yes.
So if you've never been married before, if you're a single lady,
you can foster.
Okay. Right.
Yes.
I think a lot of people don't realize that, but I have a good friend that lives down the road from me. She is single, never been married, and a foster mom to the sweetest, cutest little chubby boy right now.
We license single people just as much as we do couples. So they are just as helpful,
Yeah.
So
sure.
as long as you have that support system needed, we can get you licensed. What did I miss? I think that was it. Be able to pass a background check.
Right, that's a definite.
Of course, we do background checks on you. And have experience with kids and be willing to be in partnership with the agency. And when I say partnership, understanding that we have different people involved in these cases, and so that means being in partnership with us, through reunification or whether it's adoption. And so that requires us to work with parents and, be understanding and have an open mind to things. And so you have to have that compassion for people in order to be able to do it, and not judgmental, because like we were talking about earlier, either one of us in our family, it may not be us, but we could easily be sitting on the other side of that, of that table at any given time. Things happen, and so we just want to, have that compassion and try our best to not just understand it, but to be present and mindful of situations and that they can change.
Right, for sure. That I feel like that is one thing that I definitely grew and I guess matured a lot in after being involved in foster care and seeing, especially with our one mom that we stay in very close contact with kids that were reunified. I feel like I've learned a lot from her. I know she actually listens to this show, so but I've learned so much from her in knowing that she was raised a whole lot differently than I was.
Right.
And all the chances that I even had growing up by having my parents were not wealthy at all. They worked very hard for what we had. They worked very hard to get us Christian education and all that. But like me looking back and seeing what all they had to sacrifice for me to receive that, but that bettered me so much. I mean, I don't know if I'm saying this right, but I didn't realize how much more I had because of just the family I was born into,
Right.
compared to other people my age, maybe even older than me,
Right.
that they didn't have because of the family they were born into.
And you just can't see that as physical or tangible, assets. You have to look at mental as well.
Yeah.
A lot of things, are mental. We have mental capacities, or that a lot of people don't have or weren't taught. And so, as the agency, and when you decide to become a foster parent with us, you're taking on that partnership to say, hey, we're willing to learn, and we're willing to make adjustments and changes, or be, negotiable on certain things, because everything is not going to be a constant or set in stone. Visitations change sometimes,
weekly sometimes.
And so you have to be kind of flexible just a little bit.
I remember calling you in like, Brandon, this doesn't make any sense at all. Have you ever heard of this happening before? And you're like, yes, Miss Cockrell, I have.
It happens. And so, it's understanding, just like with any aspect of life, anything can change at any given moment. If we up and get sick, we call in to work, So if something happens, we just need that, understanding and compassion for our parents and our children, because we hope that they get to go back home, and so we try to build those supports with our foster parents and our parents, which in the term we call shared parenting. And we are big on that in the instance to where it becomes a support not only for the parent, but for the child as well.
Yeah, I could definitely see a big difference once we started opening up more to these kiddos' biological family, like them coming to birthday parties and baseball games and different things like that.
Yes.
How these kids ate it up. They love the fact that they called us Aunt Ann and Uncle Will. They loved the fact that we got to eat dinner with their mom.
Yes.
And we were all at the baseball field at one time, and it about brought me to tears the first time because of just how excited that little boy was that his foster parents were there to watch him play baseball, and his mom and grandmother were there too.
Those are moments that they will always cherish.
Yeah. And me too.
Something someone can never take away from them, so they will always cherish those moments.
Yeah. So speaking as a foster parent, if you're a foster parent right now or considering it, it is hard work with the bio family sometime, and each bio family is different. Some kind of hard to work with, some just thankful that you're there to take care of their kids. And so, anyway, I definitely encourage you to at least be in prayer of how you could be there to support that family and not just those children. So if someone's interested in becoming a foster parent, what do they do?
Okay, so they can call. We have a 1-800 number, and I always have to look at it because I can't remember it by heart. And so it's 1-800-821-9157, or they can go into their local office and ask to speak to a licensure specialist, or call in and ask to speak to a licensure specialist. If we have our MDCPS website, that is www.mdcps.ms.gov. It has the application listed on there for a single person and two married couples. And so you can fill out the application there. Once you complete it, it goes to our state office, and they assign it to whatever county you live in.
Then that's when you get a call.
Licensure specialist to come out and do that lovely home study.
And the home study, I have talked about it like it's a huge deal. It feels huge at first, but then after you go through it, it's really not that big of a deal.
It's really not that bad, but just know we do get in, as I said, we get in the business, um, but it's all for a just cause, and if you can handle just that moment of one-on-one private vulnerability, just imagine how foster kids feel.
Oh, right.
If you're just vulnerable in that moment.
And you're in a safe place.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so our foster kids go through a lot of different hands, while they're in foster care. They see a judge, they see a social worker,
Sometimes see police officers.
Yes. And so just imagine, how vulnerable our foster kids become.
Right.
So,
that's a good point.
Yeah.
Good point. So what else would you like anyone listening to know?
I would just like for every our listeners to if they have any questions, to ask them. Educate yourself on the matter before deciding to become a foster parent. We would love to have anybody on board that would like to be, and just to remember that you are needed in the community. If you feel like you want to help out in your community, this is a way to help. We train, we educate. We are right there along with you every step of the way of fostering.
That's right. And I know that you are not speaking to just Christians here. I'm not speaking to just Christians here, but that's a majority of our listeners probably that are listening in right now. And I just as a Christian, this is your way to be the hands and feet of Jesus to these families, to these children, to the workers. Y'all, you're acting like this job is an easy job. Y'all have so much going on, Brent. I don't know how you deal with everything that you have to deal with.
It's not an easy job, but it is worth it. Going through the process and seeing foster parents like yourself grow, and seeing children grow and connect and bond, and it's rewarding. Even in my line of work, I don't deal a lot one-on-one with families anymore. But seeing, foster parents come in and knowing that I have some way had an impact on your heart to say, hey, let me go be a foster parent, and that's what we want. This has to be a heartfelt movement. It can't be, just up and decide we're going to just take in some kids, just to take them in. This has to be heartfelt, and you have to be compassionate about it to do it.
For sure. Do you mind telling us about the different workers that you have? So we have the frontline workers?
Yes. And so we call them, we're all social service specialists now, but we do have those county of responsibility and county of service. They have supervisors, and we have our adoption specialists and our licensure specialists. The licensure specialists are the ones that actually come out and license the home. And take you through the licensure process. And so you'll see a lot of everybody involved in that aspect. Everyone except for the adoption specialists. They come in.
You don't see them those till the
end.
At
the end, in case the parents, don't the kids don't get to go back home to the parents. And so and then you have your youth court judge. Youth court judges play a major part in our foster care system, because that's how they come to us. We can't take them without their permission. And so so we have a lot of stakeholders here, but our number one stakeholders are our parents and our children. And we recruit in partnership with foster parents in hopes to help make things and situations better for them.
Right. Well, and I know you do a good job. Not everybody was blessed to have you as their resource worker. Whenever I heard that you were moving to a different field, I was like, she did not ask me about this.
Everybody cried. I got phone calls, and I still get approached. Hey, we miss you, and I miss those
about
moments.
Coming back.
Yeah. Hey, I'm still there. I'm just on a different side of it.
That's right. Well, you are the best. We have been blessed with some really good social workers. Some social workers, but we have been blessed. I was going to take it just a minute and just pray over you and other people that are in your field, because it's hard.
Much appreciated. Much appreciated.
Father God, I come to you right now to just thank you so much for all the social workers, God, no matter what their other title is, they have a really, really hard job, and a job that a lot of people, me included, wouldn't feel like I would be able to do, God. And so I just pray over these special people that were called to this special line of work. I just pray over them right now, whatever they're doing, whatever case they're having to work on right now. I'm sure it's more than one, that you would just guide them in their decisions, that you would keep them safe, because sometimes they're probably not in the safest of places, Lord. I pray that you be with their families, because there's a lot that they have to give up being with their families at weird times of the day and at night, God, when they have to leave and go do their job, and we have no idea what that even is, Lord. God, I pray if we have listeners considering to become foster parents, Lord, just help this show to nudge them a little bit more, to call their office or look it up online or go to the office, God, and just see what it would look like for them to be involved, God, because we are needed. Foster parents are so needed in the lives of these children and families. And as Christians, we're called to do it no matter what it looks like. We are called to be here and fill in these gaps when needed. We love you, Father, and in your name I pray. Amen. Brandance, thanks for being here today. I so enjoyed it. Thank you for listening to Hannah's Heart, and we'll